that when we take us to the top of the backswing, I want to feel like that trail foot is actually spinning out. That's hence why I got the spikes to help us there. That we're moving into that trail heel, and I want to get more pressure there. So we use two types of kind of feel. So we've got pressure here and pressure there.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. Kerrod Gray here today at Bali National Golf Club, a wonderful facility here on the island. Standing here next to my good friend Toby McGeechee. Toby's one of the world's best online coaches. You can check him out on Skillist and over on social media. Toby, thanks for coming along, my man.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
Today with Toby, we're going to be running through a bunch of great drills and exercises to help you make some changes that are actually going to work, fixing your frustrations with your outcome. That means your ball flight, that means your strike. And this is what matters to help you shoot lower scores. A lot of great information here, guys. Stay tuned. Okay, so Toby, what we've got here, this is without a doubt one of the most common recreational golfer faults and fixes that they do themselves. Right?
Yes.
We're seeing a golfer who is shanking the ball. He couldn't stop shanking it. Everything he tried to do, he couldn't stop it, right?
Yeah.
So he comes to you, he sends you a video, and the video that he sends you, he is not even addressing behind the golf ball in the address position. So in his setup, we can see that the club head is actually not behind the golf ball here.
Well, it makes sense to the recreational golfer, isn't it? If my hosel is meeting that ball, why don't I just get further away from it?
Yeah, absolutely. So you're constantly hitting the hosel of the golf club every single time. And so you're feeling that, what do I do? Oh, I'm fixing this, my buddy told me to do this, but you don't actually know if you're solving the issue. What you're trying to do is you're just trying to throw everything up against the wall, hoping something sticks. Now, at the end of the day, most players intuitively go, well, if I am shanking, which is the inside of the golf club, simply by standing further away, surely that's got to stop it. But why don't you run through how that actually makes this problem worse? And then what we can do is we can go back and we could talk about why he was originally shanking it.
Okay.
But this setup adjustment he was making, so if you set up to the ball for me,
it's got the club inside the ball.
So he's trying to hit a ball here, and we can see his setup over there on the right hand side. It's pretty good. Like, he's got his balance in check within reason. There's no reason he should shank it. He was shanking it because of a swing issue. He tried to solve it with a setup issue. Now what happens from here? So let's say we're in a good setup. For him to hit this ball, what does he have to do in the motion?
Well, of course, so coming into the downswing, he's got to move out towards that golf ball. So when you're moving out towards the golf ball, if you know, it makes sense, right? Once you're kind of watching this, that you'll see that what part of the golf club's getting closer to the ball. You know, we're getting the toe of it closer because we're well on the inside now, but we are moving the hosel closer to the ball.
The whole mass, the whole club, everything is moving in an outward direction to try and get him to get that club back on the ball. Now the brain's telling him that the ball needs to strike the center of the face, right? So he's setting up, he's trying to fix his setup by standing further away. It's compounding the issue of encouraging the shank.
Well, he's got to do more and more to get to it.
He does.
So the further he gets away, the more he has to move in the incorrect way, which I'm excited to kind of share with everyone on how we fixed it.
Yeah, absolutely. So we can see just over here on the left-hand side with the professional club setting up directly behind the golf ball. He swings to the top, and what we see is they're very proficient with their strike. Over here on the right-hand side, setting up with the club on the inside of the ball, and then he's making this movement where he's coming out and coming really down over the top to strike in the center. Now, he can do it occasionally, put him in pressure, ball below your feet, ball above your feet, whole different story, right? So he then sent you through an original swing where he was setting up and he shanked it, right? And in this swing, we made some observations based around what he was doing with his movement. Now, he's still doing it in this one here, which we're going to demonstrate. But it was a lot about how he was actually moving his pressure and pivoting his body in the backswing, which created the shank in the original place. He tried to fix it with a setup. What he needed to do, get an online lesson with yourself. And then from that position, fix what he was doing in the backswing, which would in turn give him the room to stop shanking it, right? So let's talk about the pivot and the movement of the body from the address position to the top of the swing. Now, to highlight this, what we'll do is we'll get a little line up against the backside over here on the right-hand side, and then up against the model over here on the left. And we're going to talk about the movement of this pelvis throughout the motion, okay? So over here on the left-hand side, let's go back to lead arm parallel, and then you can take it from here, my friend.
So what he's going to do from here, like he looks okay, but what you'll start to see though, if you're looking at certain types of structure, that his body, so his left hip there, if you're kind of drawing a line, and the right hip as well, but it's moved closer to the ball.
Big time.
And the further you go, so take him further back, you'll see he's drifting over there. So he's got a lot of what we call bending nature. His head's moved over towards the golf ball. And now if you actually go in towards the ball, take a look at this.
Oh yeah.
You'll see how much he's got to move in towards there, which is giving him, it's cramping him up. It's going to steepen that shaft. And when you're moving out towards the golf ball, we hear the recreational golfer talk about not being able to rotate. Well, when you're moving out towards that ball, there's not much turning going on. And you've got to try and make space.
Yeah, absolutely. So then moving down into this position, you can see, like as we were just talking about there, he's got no room.
Yep.
And he's really struggling with his strike, okay?
Yeah.
A huge amount of follow-on effects and observations that you can see from 2D images of very typical errors that we would see with a recreational golfer, right?
Yeah.
So first thing that you told me that you worked on was getting him the confidence to set up behind the ball again.
Yes.
And then from there, it was giving him a drill and exercise to give him some more depth of hip turn to the top, okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
So run us through that and show us what you did.
Yeah, so the first thing first on why that is, an issue is that when he's this way here, to kind of show us now visually, right, when the club head is this far inside the ball there, and he's taking his downswing, he's got to move this way out there, right?
Big time.
Not only is he moving out there, right, he's actually getting narrower through here, right? So when he was behind the ball this way, he would go this way,
Yeah.
and then he'd have to create space.
Yeah.
So now he was trying to get more space through this.
Yeah.
Right, so putting the club head inside the ball there. So do you want to get into how we started?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
So let's set up behind the golf ball there for me.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So we gave him the confidence to get the club behind the ball. Now, using Toby's butt line here as a reference,
Yeah.
I want you to swing to the top and show me what he was doing.
Okay.
Yeah, so his butt line was moving off there. You can see it sucking in towards.
Yeah.
We often see that this is coupled by an effect that there's going to be some pelvis sway and it's moving out to the outstep of his trail foot.
Yeah.
So the pelvis and the whole body's moving towards the golf ball. From there,
Yeah.
he's really in a position where he's too far out on his toes. He can't rotate properly. He gets stuck. It's going to change the feel here.
Yeah.
So setting up to the ball, we're
Yeah.
going to use this as a reference once again. So this is where you started. Now, how did you get him feeling like it was back here, staying back there?
Yeah, great. So I've got to change his perception of where he needs to move in his feet.
Okay.
Yeah, and we have to change that reaction. So when he was starting over the golf ball, that he would move, as we say, out towards the toes there.
Yeah.
So some simple feels to talk about is, if I was to face you this way here and show you, is that as we're standing here with our weight evenly balanced, is that when we take us to the top of the backswing, I want to feel like that trail foot is actually spinning out. That's hence why I've got the spikes to help us there.
Yeah.
But we're moving into that trail heel, and I want to get more pressure there. So we use two types of kind of feel. So we've got pressure here and pressure there. So one of the types of feels to kind of to start him on the road to moving that way before we change his reaction in towards the golf ball is you can simply put a golf ball underneath your toe.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
so you put the golf ball just underneath the trail toe. You can show us. So
Now, when we see players do drills and exercises like this,
Yeah.
they've got to make sure that they're creating a controlled environment, because very often we'll see in a lesson, we'll get them setting up that, and I'll say to them, okay, so now I want you to do the drill.
Yep.
And what they'll do is they'll kind of fit their stance to fit the ball. Then all of a sudden they're trying to do a drill and their stance is actually not set up with how they would if they would hit it. So when you're doing a drill and exercise like this, guys, which Toby's about to show you, it's very important that you try and create a consistent and controlled setup station so you're actually working on the correct movement. Very, very, very important. So I'm going to take my normal setup. I feel like I'm in a good position. Club behind the golf ball. Everything feels good.
Yep.
And then what are we doing here? I want you to move that in there for me.
Yeah, so basically what we're going to do is we're just going to lift the toe there on the trail foot, right? So straight away when you do that, where do you feel the feedback in the weight?
I feel that pressure go immediately back into the heel there.
Yeah, great. And what it's also going to allow you to do is take your setup, is that just take it to the top of the backswing, is that you're going to be able to be pushing this angle against it that way there.
Yeah.
That way there, that's important to us as well, right? And what this has for us, as that's happened, is it's also stopped from this lead side kind of coming out as well.
Correct.
So it's moved the, if I was to kind of stand here and show you the pelvic area this way here, if I put it, just as a rectangle like this here, I guess, or an oval, what you'll see is that it'll move. We want to move it in this fashion. So I want to feel that left hip actually move back and away as well. So if you're struggling to get that one there, I want to move this whole setup this way.
Yeah,
in that way.
Shifting your pressure beautifully by this stage of the backswing back into the heel before the recentering that we see with the pro, right? So
that's drill one.
That's drill one. So the recreational golfer here, as he was swinging back, even if he was in a good setup, he was getting to this point where by this stage of the swing, because this was frozen, this lead side's rotating around it, now I feel so much pressure down on that ball there, Tobes.
Yeah.
Huge amounts of pressure, right? So from here, we're getting the feeling that we're not really applying much pressure down on that golf ball. I can feel I'm sort of twisting and moving into such a position. We can see I'm certainly not falling towards the ball nearly as much, right?
Yeah, you would feel like you're kind of moving away from the golf ball.
Yeah.
So now you have created that space through correct pivot and pressures of where we're on the ground, not by creating the extra space by putting the club behind the ball.
Yeah.
So just by moving the club there. So we've created the space in that fashion there. Hey, but I've got another one for you, right? So that is kind of going to push us in the right direction.
Good.
I've got something that's going to help us with like a doing motion.
Okay.
So if you just take the ball out, right? And so
that's a great feel at home that we can work on?
Yeah.
Yep.
So now if you were to even lift your trail heel, right? So yeah, so you're lifting that right foot up there. Now to start your backswing, so do the takeaway for us, but clamp that foot down.
Boom.
Great. So that is now what I call more of a doing situation. So the first one was pushing us in a certain way where we were kind of working against it, where now we're actually creating that space through a movement. And I like that as a really good trigger to start moving us in the right direction.
Yeah, and we can see there's a theme amongst all the videos that we've shot out here today at Bali National, is that we're really focusing on blending these mechanics into a motion, a dynamic athletic movement that you can employ straight away and get results. We're not just trying to hit positions, we're not just trying to make things look better. It's actually being able to apply it into an effect so we can get some better results.
Yeah,
right?
Move better.
Move better. That's what we're after. So
better.
I really like that feeling. Believe it or not, I've done some videos with Alex Riggs and we did a very similar thing about feeling and slamming this weight back into that heel. You can see how my trail hip here tends to move back out of the way, giving me so much room. So combination of those two drills, absolutely perfect.
Hey, and I tell you what's really good about that as well is that the way that he was reacting to start his takeaway position was incorrect, right?
Yeah.
So this is now changing his reaction.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's changing the way that we now move away from the golf ball, not just being stagnant on it there. It gets flowing movement back. And the player that we saw, right, he's clearly an athlete, he's a sporting background as well, and we want to create that movement for him. And I want to move him in the right direction, not just put him in the right spot.
So I absolutely love this where I'm stamping down on that foot and feeling that weight and that pressure shift all the way back into this position, giving myself a lot more room to come in. I'm going to stand here, I'm going to do a couple of slow rehearsals, just exaggerating that feel. When I get players through this, I actually get them to start with the club a little bit in front as well. Yeah. Because it helps bring momentum into it. I find that sometimes when players are down over the ball and the club's on the ground, they tend to try and pull the golf club a little bit too much. Yeah. So little tidbit there, guys. Let's put that golf club a couple of inches in front when you're doing these rehearsals, when you get in the feel. From there, you're going to slam that down, really feel like you've got a nice amount of room here. Even for me, I play golf all day, every day. Sometimes I don't get enough turn. This here really exaggerates that feeling, and that's what we're looking for, okay? So we'll do a couple of those. That feels really good. Then we'll blend it to a follow through. All right, I've got a good sensation of that. Once again, nice slow execution of it. Let's get that weight moving back more into the trail heel. You know what, Tobes? That probably felt the best of the day.
That's actually quite nice. Good shot, mate. Thanks.